Hello guys, welcome to I'm a Biker, and we have the BS6 Mojo with us today. Let's see what's different and what it's all about. So guys, for those of you who do not know yet, well, now the Mojo is available only in one option, as in there is no XT and UT, it's just the Mojo 300 ABS. Now in terms of changes over the UT version of the previous version, well, there are just small changes apart from it being BS6 ready. So those small changes are the position of the lambda sensor. Basically the O2 sensor is slightly different now. The ECU mounting is slightly different now. But yeah, these changes are basically to make it a bit more efficient as a whole package. But from a rider's point of view, as in, if you're only riding and if you're not a grease monkey, a lot of these changes would not interest you. So design wise, I actually used to really like the dual silencers. I definitely used to like the golden USD forks at front. But a lot of these changes have been made to lighten the bike and make it more nimble, more rideable. Because even from the UT version itself, they had changed the rake angle, made it a bit more shorter, so that steeper basically to ease up the handling. But the one thing that I wish they had not changed is the LED DRLs that used to come here, because that used to add a lot of character. I wish they bring that back, because that I don't know if that's that costs a huge amount of money to make it, but I definitely miss that, because the rest of things I know it's been done to make the bike a overall handling and much better bike. But LED DRLs, yes, right? So obviously with the change to BS6, the slight changes in the power figures. So produces about 25.35 bhp of power and 25.96 Nm of torque. So interestingly, the torque comes in at 6000 rpm. Basically how this feels on the road, let's talk about that. In terms of throttle response, like I said, it feels very soft, not in the way that it lacks power, but in the way that it does not feel snatchy, and it feels good. The beauty of this engine that I particularly like or enjoyed is that there is power available right from lower RPM. So even at say like 2000 RPM, once you are in the right gear, there's enough power available. And even when you rev it up and in a 7000 RPM, 8000 RPM, there's still power available. So on the highway you can sit at about 100, just above 5500 RPM, and it will do speeds of 130, 135 quite easily, and favorable conditions. Like Farhan said, he took it to 157, but I think it will do about that 135, 140 whenever you want it. But it can easily cruise at around that between 5.5, 6000 RPM at 100. It's quite relaxed, and it can do that all day long. Another important thing that I really liked is that it's super refined, as in even higher up in the revs. Like for example, single cylinder bikes higher up in the revs, post 8,000-9,000 RPM, usually there's a lot of vibes that creep in. And in this one, I'm not saying it's non-existent, it is there, but it's well controlled, as in you don't feel like the handlebar is vibrating in your hand. No, it feels really good. And for a bike that's of this capacity, managing the vibes, it's done a very good job. And even if you're doing, like for example, you're doing the 120 cruise on a highway on the interstate, and it still feels possible and it doesn't tire you out. So that's definitely a good thing. So now one of the key character of the Mojo has also been its sound. Full disclosure, this machine has the dB killer removed, so it sounds even more louder than the stock bike. But at the same time, I heard the stock bike as well, and I felt that it sounds much more pleasant now. A little bit muted than before, but it still sounds really good. And of course, with the dB killer off, it's not as loud as before as well. And I don't think it will grab that much attention with the dB killer removed like that of the previous version. So Mojo being a touring bike, one important number is also the mileage aspect of it. Well, with this 21 liter tank, touring has been a big thing with the Mojo, right? So we are happy to say that there's not huge difference or a drop in mileage, with the BS6 conversion. It still returns around somewhere between the 30 and 34 mark, which is still quite efficient. And of course, it depends on your riding style. If you're full all hell out all the time, it will definitely come down. But normal city riding plus touring, anything somewhere close to the 30 and 34, 33 if you're on the highway. So the other important aspect to talk about is the handling. At 186.2 kgs, it still is a heavy motorcycle, but the good thing is that once you're riding it, I feel it's much more nimble than before. It feels easy to turn when you're moving, not U-turns. U-turns is probably where the weight shows a bit, but on road handling is actually quite good. It has it feels much more nimble. It's easy to change directions on, handles well even with the pillion. It feels very planted, of course, and even on the highways it feels really good. So the suspensions, well, the front suspensions are not too soft, not too hard, about the right for road use, and feels good, and it handles the bumps and undulations on the road quite well. The rear probably is a bit on the harder side, so actually for the rider, it's a single rider, it's not so bad, but if you have a pillion, sometimes the bad roads kind of get the pillion, but on the whole, it feels comfortable to ride on the road. And coming to the tires, well, one thing has to be said, in terms of variants, now this is just single Mojo, Mojo 300 ABS BS6, but in terms of color options, you have a couple of different ones, and in terms of color options, the tire option also changed. So basically the all black version, the base version, comes with the MRF tires, and that is the most affordable one. And then this is the ruby red, and I think this is the one that looks the best. I did not like the white and red combo. I think this looks really good, and these come with the Angel CT tires from Pirelli, so these are really good, and they have a good grip in road conditions, in wet road conditions, and they really give you a lot more confidence, and it makes the bike feel much more nimble. So with these tires, I would recommend these stock tires, the Angel CT ones. I would not recommend doing serious off-the-road business. Although the bike feels planted, I told you, like on flat off-roads, it feels good and still in control. If you want to do serious off-roading, I would definitely suggest getting different, more knobby tires. But then again, it definitely will grip, but it's still, I feel it's a bit heavy for all the jumps sort of things you want to do on off-road terrains. So in terms of handling, one more important thing is, of course, the riding position, right? So the Mojo continues its great riding position, and it's, you're sitting quite upright. Your hands are not like fully stretched forward, and your elbows are free, and the seat itself is actually quite good. It's nicely tucked in here, and even for riders of different heights, it feels comfortable, and this definitely is very suitable sort of a riding position for doing those long runs, 500-600 kilometers a day quite easily, and not really feeling superbly fatigued. So another important aspect for us in India especially is the ground clearance, considering our varied and creative roads. So in terms of that, well, the ground clearance, it's probably adequate, and it actually is adequate for most road use, and even with the pillion, the speed breakers are decently tackled. But again, like I told you, off-road and a lot of undulations, it sort of scrapes the belly a little bit, but again, not a huge problem from a daily use point of view. So right from the previous version, a huge improvement that has come onto the Mojo has been with its braking department, and it continues to be the same equipment, and I'm happy to say that it still feels much better than what it used to be, and there's never a situation you feel that you needed more. Of course, there are some points in some situations, probably I think it is due to my riding style, that I felt that it could have used a bit more sharper initial bite, but then those are small things that you get used to, the character of the bike that you get used to quite quickly. And the rear also feels good. Dual channel ABS is also standard, so all in all, no complaints in terms of performance or any other characters of the braking department. So in terms of build quality, I honestly have to say this, there is nothing that is made like the Mojo, and I mean that in the most positive way ever. This has to be the most well built and put together motorcycle, and why I say this is because we get access to a lot of motorcycles, and I personally know how the panel qualities are on a lot of different motorcycles, and these are as sturdy and well fit as they get, and I don't see anything that would not last a long time. Kudos to Mahindra for that. Probably that is one of the reasons why maybe it feels a bit expensive than its counterparts, but this definitely is built to last, and I'm sure a lot of Mojo owners will agree with me that their bikes are as good as new in terms of plastic quality, even after many years of ownership. Well, is it all perfect and all good then? Well, there are some things which I wish were different. Well, along with the upgrades and changes they made to this bike to make it more practical and more usable, I wish they had done some small things as well. Well, I wish the meter was upgraded a little bit, and that was an opportunity missed. And probably the headlight design, probably I don't want it changed because that would make the Mojo not a Mojo, because that's what the Mojo is all about. But I wish it had better throw on the road, and I'm not a huge fan of modifying bikes and adding a lot of aux lights and the whole system and that goes along with it. But from in the stock setup, if it is good enough, and since it's a ready to tour machine, I would have really enjoyed that. So if you have any questions or queries about the Mojo 300 ABS in its BS6 avatar, do let me know in comment below, and I'll definitely get back to you with an answer. Thanks for watching. Do consider liking, subscribing, and I'll see you on the next one.